Sara Anne Wood was a 12-year-old girl who lived with her family in a quiet rural community in central New York. Her father, Bob Wood, served as a pastor, and church activities were an important part of the family's daily life. On August 18, 1993, Sara spent part of her day attending vacation Bible school at the church where her father worked. Like many summer afternoons before it, the day appeared completely ordinary. After finishing her activities, she gathered her school supplies and prepared for the short bicycle ride home, a journey of only about 1 mile. Earlier that day, the family had returned from a shopping trip, and nothing seemed unusual. According to her older brother, Dusty Wood, the last time he saw Sara, she was happily riding away while singing Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. It was an ordinary moment that would later become one of his final memories of his younger sister. As the afternoon turned into evening, Sara failed to return home as expected. What first seemed like a minor delay quickly became a growing source of concern for her parents and brother. Family members began searching for her, while neighbors also looked around the nearby roads. A short time later, a neighbor discovered Sara's bicycle hidden near bushes along the roadside, less than half a mile from the family's home. Nearby, her school papers and personal belongings were scattered across the ground, suggesting that something unexpected had happened during her ride. Sara herself, however, was nowhere to be found. Police were contacted that same evening and immediately treated the situation as the disappearance of a missing child rather than a runaway. Officers quickly secured the area and began gathering information, knowing that the first hours of any missing child investigation were often the most critical. Yet despite the bicycle, the scattered belongings, and the location where they were found, there were no eyewitnesses, no immediate suspects, and no clear explanation for what had happened. Sara had only a short distance from home, leaving behind nothing except her bicycle and the unanswered questions that would shape the investigation for years. As news of Sara Wood's disappearance spread, the search effort expanded rapidly. Her father's church, where Sara had attended vacation Bible school only hours earlier, was transformed into the central command post for investigators. New York State Police coordinated the operation, bringing together officers, detectives, and emergency personnel from across the region. What had begun as the search for one missing 12-year-old soon developed into one of the largest missing child investigations in the area at that time. Hundreds of law enforcement officers, volunteers, and trained search teams worked around the clock, hoping to find any sign of Sara. Helicopters searched from above, while tracking teams examined roadsides, wooded areas, open fields, and nearby properties. Investigators steadily expanded the search zone until it covered hundreds of square miles, refusing to overlook even the smallest possibility. Throughout those first days, many believed Sara might have been injured, lost, or waiting somewhere to be found, giving everyone involved a reason to continue searching, despite the growing uncertainty. Bob Wood remained at the church command post, encouraging searchers while speaking regularly with the media. He believed that every interview and every photograph shown on television increased the chances that someone might recognize Sara or remember an important detail. He continued asking the public for information, convinced that one phone call could provide the breakthrough investigators desperately needed. Sara's mother, Frances Wood, also made emotional public appeals during the search. Rather than expressing anger, she pleaded only for her daughter's safe return. Addressing whoever was responsible, she said she did not hate them and simply wanted Sara back with her family. Her message reflected the hope that still remained, even as each passing day brought fewer answers. Despite the extraordinary manpower, constant media coverage, and tireless determination of everyone involved, the investigation produced no confirmed sightings and no major breakthrough. Days slowly turned into weeks, yet Sara remained missing. The search continued with the same commitment, but the absence of evidence left investigators facing the difficult reality that they still had no clear explanation for what had happened to the 12-year-old girl who had disappeared only a short distance from home. During the months following Sara Wood's disappearance, investigators continued working every available lead in an effort to determine what had happened. The investigation was made especially difficult because there was almost no physical evidence beyond Sara's bicycle and the belongings found nearby. Without eyewitnesses or a clear sequence of events, Detectives were forced to examine every possible explanation, no matter how unlikely it initially appeared. As part of that process, investigators interviewed Sara's parents, Bob and Frances Wood, along with her older brother, Dusty. These interviews were not conducted because detectives believed the family was responsible. Instead, they reflected a standard investigative procedure designed to eliminate every possibility before narrowing the focus of the case. The Wood family fully cooperated with law enforcement, understanding that investigators needed to examine every detail in hopes of finding the truth. Detectives also interviewed known sex offenders and other individuals living in the surrounding communities. Officers reviewed reports, searched properties, followed tips from the public, and spoke with anyone who might have seen Sara or noticed unusual activity on the day she disappeared. Every possible lead was examined carefully, as investigators tried to determine whether Sara had been taken by someone familiar with the area or by a stranger passing through the rural community. Despite the extensive investigation, no single piece of evidence identified a suspect or explained exactly what had happened after Sara began riding home from vacation Bible school. Detectives continued comparing information, eliminating possibilities, and revisiting earlier leads, but each effort ended without the breakthrough they desperately needed. As weeks turned into months, the investigation gradually lost momentum. Public attention began to fade, and the case slowly grew colder, leaving the Wood family waiting for answers that never came. Nearly 5 months after Sara disappeared, investigators had exhausted countless leads, yet they still had virtually no explanation for how girl had vanished during a bicycle ride only a short distance from her home. On January 7, 1994, less than 5 months after Sara Wood disappeared, a separate incident unfolded in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, that would dramatically change the direction of the investigation. 12-year-old Rebecca was walking to school early that morning when a man approached her on the street. He displayed a handgun and ordered her to walk with him toward a nearby truck. Faced with an immediate threat, Rebecca remained calm and carefully considered her next move instead of entering the vehicle. As they walked toward the truck, Rebecca pretended to suffer an asthma attack while removing her backpack. She acted as though she was struggling to breathe, forcing the man to focus on her movements. The moment he reached toward the backpack, Rebecca broke free and ran from him without looking back. She reached safety, while a nearby resident quickly contacted police. At nearly the same time, another witness noticed the suspect's vehicle and was able to provide investigators with several digits from its license plate, giving officers their first significant lead. Despite heavy snowfall and difficult weather conditions, police immediately began searching for the truck. During the snowstorm, officers located a vehicle matching the witness's information parked at a residence. Their investigation led them to Lewis Lent, a local handyman and school janitor. Although he appeared to be an ordinary member of the community, many students were already uncomfortable around him and often tried to avoid him whenever possible. Officers searched the truck and recovered Rebecca's backpack along with the handgun used during the attempted abduction. They also found duct tape, rope, and additional items that investigators believed were intended for kidnapping. The evidence connected Lewis Lent directly to the attack on Rebecca, leading to his arrest and extensive questioning. For investigators in New York, Rebecca's escape became the first major break in Sara Wood's case. Until that moment, months of searching had produced almost no evidence and no suspect. Rebecca's courage, combined with the evidence recovered by police, opened an entirely new direction for investigators and ultimately transformed the investigation into Sara Wood's disappearance, leading them toward answers they had been seeking for months. Lewis Lent later provided investigators with a hand-drawn map identifying a location near Blue Mountain Lake in the Adirondack region, where he claimed Sara Anne Wood had been buried. Acting immediately on the information, authorities organized another major search operation, hoping the map would finally lead them to Sara's remains after months of uncertainty and unanswered questions surrounding her disappearance. The search unfolded during extremely harsh winter conditions. Investigators, trained search teams, and members of Sara's family continued searching despite deep snow covering the landscape and temperatures falling to approximately 30 degrees below zero. The severe weather created constant obstacles, but the effort continued because everyone involved believed the information might finally provide the answers they had been seeking. For more than 50 days, teams worked across the remote area without abandoning the difficult mission. Search crews dug through frozen ground, carefully examined isolated woodland locations, and searched for any evidence connected to Sara. Every possible area identified from Lent's directions received close attention as investigators attempted to verify his account. The difficult terrain, heavy snow, and frozen earth slowed progress, forcing searchers to spend countless hours checking locations that were challenging to reach and even harder to excavate under the brutal winter conditions. Despite the enormous commitment of personnel, time, and resources, the search produced nothing. No remains, personal belongings, or physical evidence connected to Sara were discovered anywhere within the area identified by Lent. The unsuccessful operation left investigators with no confirmation that his burial account had ever been truthful. Authorities later uncovered another major problem with Lent's statement. Financial records showed that he had cashed a check in Massachusetts on the same evening he claimed to have buried Sara near Blue Mountain Lake. The documented timeline made his account impossible. Faced with that contradiction, Lent eventually withdrew his confession concerning the burial site and claimed he had lied because another body was located nearby. His revised explanation further weakened the credibility of his earlier statements and left investigators without a reliable location to continue searching. Sara's remains were never recovered, leaving her family without the answers they had desperately sought, despite years of investigation and extensive search efforts. The legal proceedings against Lewis Lent continued as investigators and prosecutors pursued accountability for multiple violent crimes. Before admitting responsibility for Sara Anne Wood's murder, Lent was convicted for the attempted kidnapping of Rebecca and later pleaded guilty to the murder of James Bernardo. Those convictions established an extensive record of serious offenses while authorities continued seeking justice for Sara and answers about her disappearance. Although Lent initially refused to admit killing Sara, he eventually entered a guilty plea to her murder. The plea formally acknowledged his responsibility for her death, even though investigators still lacked the crucial evidence they had hoped to recover. Without Sara's remains, many questions surrounding the crime remained unanswered, despite the successful prosecution. The sentences imposed upon Lent ensured that he would spend the remainder of his life in prison. The convictions reflected the seriousness of his crimes and prevented any realistic possibility that he would regain his freedom. For Sara's family, however, the legal outcome did not provide complete closure because the location of her remains remained unknown. Despite pleading guilty, Lent repeatedly changed his account of what had happened after Sara's murder. Over the years, investigators returned to interview him inside prison, hoping he would finally provide truthful information, leading to the recovery of her remains. Each interview represented another opportunity to resolve the final unanswered question that continued haunting the investigation. Instead of providing a consistent explanation, Lent repeatedly altered his version of events. At different times, he claimed that he suffered blackouts, or that an alternate personality named Stephen had committed certain actions. Those explanations failed to provide investigators with verifiable information about Sara's final location. Rather than accepting his changing stories at face value, investigators remained focused on confirming facts through evidence, documented timelines, and independent verification. Despite years of interviews and continued efforts to establish the truth, Lent never provided reliable information that led authorities to Sara's remains, leaving one of the case's most significant questions permanently unresolved. Investigators and the Federal Bureau of Investigation eventually concluded that Lewis Lent might have been responsible for additional murders beyond the crimes already proven in court. As authorities continued reviewing missing children cases across New York and Massachusetts, they examined similarities in circumstances, timelines, and Lent's known movements, attempting to determine whether other disappearances could be connected to him through credible evidence. One case that received renewed attention involved Jamie Lusher, a teenager with disabilities who disappeared several months before Sara Anne Wood. Lent later confessed to involvement in Jamie's disappearance and directed investigators toward Greenwater Pond, claiming that evidence connected to the case could be found there. His statement prompted another extensive investigative effort as search teams attempted to verify his account through physical evidence rather than relying solely upon his confession. Authorities organized underwater searches of Greenwater Pond, carefully examining the area identified by Lent. Divers and investigators searched extensively, hoping to locate human remains or any other evidence capable of confirming his claims. Despite those efforts, the searches produced no remains and no physical evidence linking the location to Jamie's disappearance. Without supporting evidence, investigators could not verify the accuracy of Lent's statement. As had happened with earlier confessions, Lent later withdrew his account regarding Jamie Lusher. His reversal further complicated the investigation and reinforced concerns about the reliability of his changing statements. Each confession raised hope that unanswered cases might finally be resolved, yet each retraction forced investigators to return to the available evidence and continue searching without dependable guidance. Despite those inconsistencies, investigators continued suspecting that Lent may have been responsible for multiple murders involving children across New York and Massachusetts. His documented crimes, repeated confessions, and shifting explanations encouraged authorities to examine numerous unsolved disappearances for possible connections. However, many of those investigations have remained unresolved because no recoverable physical evidence has been found to conclusively establish responsibility. Without recoverable remains or corroborating forensic evidence, many suspected connections have never advanced beyond investigative suspicion, leaving numerous cases without definitive answers. Following Lewis Lent's conviction, investigators refused to end their efforts to locate Sara Anne Wood's remains. Although the criminal case had reached its legal conclusion, detectives remained committed to recovering her so that her family could finally receive answers. The investigation continued for years, focusing on every opportunity to verify Lent's changing statements and identify the location where Sara had been left. Over the following years, detectives interviewed Lent approximately 20 times inside prison, repeatedly encouraging him to provide truthful information about Sara's burial site. Investigators also transported him hundreds of miles, hoping that returning him to locations connected with his earlier statements might prompt him to identify the correct place. Despite those extraordinary efforts, Lent never directed authorities to a location where Sara's remains could be found. Investigators later organized additional searches in Vermont after identifying landmarks that appeared consistent with statements Lent had previously made. Search and rescue dogs alerted within one particular area, giving authorities renewed hope that the search might finally produce evidence. Based upon those alerts, investigators launched another large search operation, carefully examining the surrounding terrain. Despite the extensive effort, no remains or physical evidence connected to Sara were recovered from the location. Authorities also renewed searches of properties associated with Lent, believing those locations deserved further examination in light of information gathered during the continuing investigation. Search teams carefully examined the identified properties, hoping overlooked evidence might finally reveal Sara's whereabouts. Those searches, however, produced no discoveries capable of resolving the case or confirming any of Lent's conflicting accounts. Despite decades of unsuccessful searches, investigators have never abandoned their determination to locate Sara. Detectives continue believing that Lent knows exactly where her remains are buried and has deliberately refused to reveal the location. His repeated confessions, changing stories, withdrawn statements, and inconsistent explanations have convinced investigators that the truth remains concealed rather than lost. Without reliable information leading to recoverable evidence, Sara's family has continued waiting for the answers they have sought since the day she disappeared. The search therefore remains active in purpose, driven by the belief that recovering Sara is still possible if the concealed location is ever truthfully revealed by the only person investigators believe possesses that knowledge. Sara Anne Wood's story has remained defined by the determination of her family rather than by the crimes committed against her. Throughout the decades following her disappearance, those closest to Sara have worked tirelessly to preserve her memory, ensuring that she is remembered as a beloved daughter, sister, and child whose life continues inspiring hope instead of being remembered only for tragedy. Sara's brother, Dusty Wood, has continued honoring his younger sister by choosing compassion over bitterness. Rather than allowing anger to define his future, he has devoted his life to positive work and meaningful service. His commitment reflects the values his family has carried throughout the years, demonstrating resilience while continuing to remember Sara with love, dignity, and unwavering determination, despite the absence of the answers they have sought for decades. Sara's family has also led a long campaign to keep her case in the public eye. They have consistently encouraged continued investigative efforts while supporting initiatives designed to strengthen protections for missing children. Their advocacy has extended beyond their personal search for answers, helping raise awareness about child safety and the importance of immediate action when children disappear. Their dedication has ensured that Sara's name continues encouraging education, prevention, and public awareness. The local branch of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is named after Sara Anne, reflecting the lasting impact of her family's commitment. Each year, Sara's memory is further honored through the annual Ride for Missing Children, which was created in her honor. Participants ride bicycles while wearing the same colors Sara wore on the day she disappeared. The event serves both as a tribute to her life and as an educational effort promoting child safety, abduction prevention, and community awareness. By combining remembrance with education, the ride continues, reaching new communities while encouraging families to remain informed and vigilant. More than 3 decades after Sara disappeared, investigators continue searching for her remains, believing the final answer has not yet been found. At the same time, her family's unwavering advocacy has transformed unimaginable personal loss into a lasting effort to protect children across the United States. Sara Anne Wood's legacy continues, representing hope for families of missing children who are still searching for answers, proving that love, perseverance, public awareness, and determination can continue making a meaningful difference for generations to come.